Hey guys, welcome to Old Iron Garage. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to pick up where we left off in the last video. Since the last video was running kind of long, I didn't want to end up with like a hour 45 minute or 2 hour video. I think like about an hour and a half is about the absolute maximum I like to make a video, and that is pretty long. So yeah. Anyways, without further ado, let's pick up where we left off. Hey guys, I'm back. So I got the tank cleaned out as good as I'm going to for now. It's not clean, but I mainly just wanted to take off like the worst of it. Like it really wasn't terrible, but I just wanted to knock off the worst of any rust or debris in there. And then when I was done, I dumped the fluid that was in there out, along with all the nuts and stuff that were in there. Excuse me. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, what that fluid looks like. It is brown. But also, I went ahead and gathered up the... after I did that, I rinsed it out with fluid from the parts cleaner tank, and then I rinsed it out with gasoline and blew it out real good to blow out, to dry it up a bit and blow out any other more remaining loose particulates in there, any loose particle or debris. So anyways, I did notice that I forgot to install one thing on the carburetor. That's that black plasticky rubbery thing that the air filter housing sits on. So I went ahead and put that on off camera. Not a big deal. But anyway, I went ahead and gathered up the hardware and that I needed to attach the, well, here you go, there you can see, the fuel tank, or the carb to the fuel tank, and then the springs for the governor. Went ahead and gathered those up. I sprayed the gaskets that I'm going to be using with WD-40 to let it soak in a little bit. That is supposed to, if you have to take this apart again, it's supposed to help the gaskets to come loose without tearing apart. Like, it's supposed to help it not stick so much to the carburetor or the engine block or the fuel tank. So anyways, let's go over here and take a look at what came out of the fuel tank, the fluid. As you can see, it is pretty brown. It was already brown, but now it's really brown. Yes. That's what came out of the fuel tank. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get you guys mounted up here where you were. Awesome. And let's start assembling. I debated doing this off camera. I was like, haven't had any good longer videos in a while, so. Some of that WD-40 soaked into the gasket, which is what you want. I'm spreading around what is remaining. I need to adjust you guys, and I might even move you back a little bit. So you have a little bit bigger view area so you can see better what I'm doing. The WD-40 is also kind of helping that gasket to sit here in place. Oh boy. Trying to remember how this was hooked up. I'm actually going to take that gasket back off of there. And I'm going to put it on here instead. And I'm going to go ahead and put a few of these little screws through the gasket and kind of thread them into the gasket a little bit so the screws and the gasket will hold each other in place. And be careful when doing this not to damage, like tear the gasket. You don't really want to try to push the screw through the hole. The threads might just cause the gasket to just tear. You want to let the threads grab the gasket and bite in and pull the screw through. I'm not going to go all the way through, just enough to where the threads have a good bite on that gasket. To where they kind of hold on to each other. There we are. Now, I believe this end up here, it's got that kind of a couple extra bends in it. Goes up to the carburetor. Other way. I believe it goes this way. And then there's this little spring here that also clips into the this bit of linkage on the carburetor. What these springs do, these springs are actually important. They help keep the throttle a little more even instead of, because you know there's the linkage rod in the hole has like a little bit of like slop to it basically, and that kind of helps to take up that slop. Helps to hold them kind of rigid so that the throttle can't like bounce or fluctuate slightly. When I was younger, I never did really know what those were for, but now I do. Okay. Now I gotta try to figure out how to get that angled enough to get it in there. Come on, I'm just going to have to bend that linkage and then bend it back. Then the spring has to come down and hook into there as well. Come on. Come on, little guy. That spring is paper thin. Holy cow. Alrighty, that is hooked up. I just had a brain fart. I don't know what I'm doing. That does not hook into there. Like I said, guys, it's been a while since I've worked on one of these little 5-horse Briggs where I had to mess with the governor. So, I feel really stupid. That does not hook into there. That hooks into this part of the governor over here on the engine. So let's get that back out of there. I was paying too much attention to the camera and, you know, worrying about if I'm making a good video, can you guys see what I'm doing, and not enough to what I'm actually doing. I feel dumb. It's pretty basic knowledge on these little Briggs engines. I should have known that. Alrighty. Yeah. I feel dumb. So let's get these screws, all 3 of them, started in their holes in the tank. It's nice to be able to work with new gaskets instead of trying to save the old ones. Oh man. And then sometimes the old ones just don't quite work out. Come on, get down in there in your hole. There. Sometimes you think you've saved a used gasket and it looks good and everything, and then it leaks. Then you try to tighten the screws and then it still leaks. And then you got to source a brand new gasket. And take it apart and change the gasket. Now you want to make sure to get these tight so you get a good seal there, but you do not want to over tighten them and end up stripping out the Phillips head of the screw. These things absolutely suck to try to take out if they are stripped out. I'm going to go around one more time. Just make sure they're all really snug. They don't have to be stupid tight, but they do need to be, you know, somewhat tight. Hey, Dad's home. When Dad comes in, I'm sure you'll hear me talk to him a little bit. But I'm going to try to stay focused on what I'm doing here for the most part. Okay, so I forgot this little piece that holds on the breather tube, so I have to take this screw back out. I'm going to put that breather tube on and then put that little hold down piece in. Wonder if Dad got anything cool at the auction. He's always bringing home neat stuff from the auction. Oops, I forgot to clean this piece in the parts cleaner. I'm just going to grab the wire brush and give it a little scrub real quick. It's got a lot of dust caked on it. Alright, that's good enough. This thing's going to get all dusty anyways again, but when I have stuff apart, I like to clean it good. Drives me nuts if I don't clean stuff while it's apart. I'm just very picky like that, so... I'm sure you guys have figured that out by now. Okay, now this is ready to go onto the engine, I believe. This part is not the most fun. You got to line up multiple things at a time and attach multiple things while holding on to this thing, and yeah. So let's see. Okay, I can see what hole the linkage went into. So let's get that in there. Okay, so this linkage has to come back off. It's got to go onto the governor down there on the engine first, and then it's got to go in up here. I can see that now. Come on, you little spring. That spring is in place. Now, put this onto here. And the spring comes up and hooks on. Now that's hooked on. There's another spring though. And that one goes from... I gotta turn this, guys, to take a look. And for now, I'm probably going to put a bolt in here just to help me hold on to this thing, or to hold it for me while I try to get a spring in. I put a couple bolts in. I'm going to put this bolt down here at the bottom, the bracket that holds the fuel tank to the engine block to support the weight of everything. I'm going to get that one just started in the hole as well. Now, that's in place. To figure out where this other spring goes. It attaches there's this like thing that the throttle cable goes to on the bottom of the bracket underneath the fuel tank. It pivots, and this spring has to go from that to the governor that's sticking out of the engine block. Guys, I'm going to do this off camera. Might take a minute, and I may even have to ask my dad, because I haven't messed with the 3 or 5 horse Briggs governor in a while. So, all right, I'll be back. Hey guys, I just while it's off camera, I just went ahead and finished reassembling this fuel tank and carburetor to the engine. Got the governor all hooked up correctly. I just Googled it and figured it out, and so found what I needed on online and got it all hooked up correctly. But it was kind of tedious hooking this up, so this bolt down here, the bottom bolt for the carburetor to the block, is difficult and tedious to run it in and tighten. So I just did it off camera. Anyways, that can go on there. We have one thing left to do, I believe. That is the air filter. So this type of air filter, this foam filter, needs to be oiled. You have to oil these. So I'm going to show you how to do that in case you've never done that. They're supposed to be lightly oiled. So what I do is, if it's a brand new air filter, has no oil in it, I put a bunch of oil on there and let it start to soak in. Spread it around a little. That'll help it to soak in. One side. And the other. I think this side needs a little more. A lot of this is going to end up being squeezed out, but you want to put enough on there that you can get it thoroughly all the way through. So then you just start squeezing it to work the oil in all the way through the filter. You want to work it all the way in, all the way through. You're going to get messy hands, guys. You're going to get oily hands. So I think that's pretty good. Then you want to kind of squeeze it, try to squeeze out any excess, which it looks like I got on about the right amount, really. The only excess that came off is a little bit dripped down here at first, but it's mostly just on my hands. So I'm going to want to clean my hands so I don't get this semi-clean engine, partially cleaned engine all oily. Now remember, guys, I do still have to power wash this thing to clean out the cooling fins and any other crud that's still on the engine block. So I'm not going to let this thing run for, like an hour or anything, just because I don't want to overheat any part of the cylinder mainly. But so yeah, anyways, moving forward, let's get a clean paper towel now and do it again. So now that that is done, clean up the mess here. Now we're going to assemble the air cleaner. This screen goes at the bottom. Then your air cleaner goes in. Get it all the way in there. This insert goes through the hole there. It's important that this insert is in there so that way the air, as it's being filtered through the filter, goes all the way from the bottom through these holes all the way up through the filter and then enters into the carburetor from here. That way it doesn't just go kind of up in through just the bottom, little bit of the bottom of the filter and then straight into the carb. That way it has to pass through more of the filter element. So it is important that that is in there. Then you just force the lid on, and the excess that sticks out tucks around nicely and helps to create a seal between the lid and the main part of this air filter. And we just stick it on. And there is a screw, a special screw, kind of a shallow head that's slotted, long shaft that goes on in and threads into a threaded hole inside the carburetor. I can get it lined up. There we go. Then we just tighten that down good and tight. I mean, we don't want to break anything or strip anything out, but it is important that that is tight so that everything's sealed up where it needs to seal up. So should be good. But for starting purposes, I'm actually going to take this back off so I can shoot some gasoline in there with this. I saw another YouTube channel, another YouTuber using something similar to this, so I went and found one of these online. It's a little squirt bottle. You can feed the carburetor with this pretty easily. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Go check out the channel Mustie 1. The word Mustie, M-U-S-T-I-E, and then the number 1. He's got a great channel, guys. I love his channel. I love watching his stuff. That is where I got the inspiration for this little bottle here. And that bottle in particular, I made sure to find one that is safe for solvents. If it's safe for solvents, it should be safe for fuel. So I found one that was solvent safe. You don't want to use just any plastic. So, you know, we forgot to hook up the kill wire. I'm going to make sure that that's not interfering with anything and coming in contact and grounding out. Because that would suck, wouldn't it, you know? Try to start it and, what? I don't have any spark. Oh, no. All that work, and now I have no spark. Might just go ahead and connect it. Got to make sure it's not interfering with the governor so it doesn't bind that up. Okay. Alright, sorry I was holding this in my mouth so I could see. Okay, I think we're ready to try to fire it. Before I put any fuel in the tank, let's see if it'll just even just fire. Okay guys? Now, my phone, the camera, you guys, are sitting in a phone holder that is on the bench vise, which is on the bench. So when this thing fires, you guys might shake around a little bit. See if I can do this holding it by myself. I don't know. Usually at home I got it clamped down to something, the bench. Oh, it tried, I think. I think she tried. Make sure that is not. Okay. Maybe she didn't try, I don't know. Make sure that's not contacting anything. What do you know, guys? Check that out, huh? That's pretty cool. So I'm going to get some gas in here. And, yeah, let's get some gas in here. Try to fire it up. Guys, this is recreational gas, or also known as Rec 90, recreational 90 octane, also known as ethanol free. This fuel is ethanol free. Ethanol is what will mess up your carburetors. Small engine carburetors do not, well, just carburetors in general, do not like ethanol. Everybody throws away their lawnmowers and weed eaters and stuff because you get them out in the spring and, oh, I don't want to run. Well, it's because you used regular pump gas that's intended for cars, and you let it set in the carburetor all winter as well. If you're firing it up at least once a week, that's one thing, but they'll let it set for a whole season with ethanol in there. Not good. So, let's give it a go. Now, she is going to smoke a little bit, guys. Remember, she is going to smoke a little bit. When I first got this thing, I thought there was a stuck valve, so I filled the cylinder with diesel. There's also, because of that, I ended up getting some diesel in the muffler. And then, you know, I also had fluid from the parts cleaner tank all over this engine, and some of that probably got in the muffler as well. So this thing's going to smoke for a little bit. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, guys. I'm going to cut the video here and bring you back, and once I get it at a place where I can run it a little bit more, maybe outside or something, I'm going to fire it up and just let it run, play with it, adjust the carburetor. I'll do all that on video. So I'll bring you guys back in just a little bit. Guys, let's fire it up and get everything adjusted. Fires up nice and easy.
Alright guys, well, I'm going to call it there for the video. I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off. I'd say that is one happy, healthy little engine. It does not seem to burn any oil. It's not all smoky. Before I brought you guys back and started recording again, I did fire it up and let it run as is with no adjustment, just long enough to let the diesel and oil and parts cleaner, everything just kind of burn off, so it wouldn't be, so we could tell if it would be an oil burner or not. And I didn't see any smoke, so yeah, I'd say that's one healthy little 5-horse Briggs. But yeah, I will continue later on if it needs any more fine-tuning of the carburetor, but I'd say that's pretty good where it's at for now. Anyways, thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this. Please check out my other videos on my channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and make sure to share this channel with others that are into this kind of stuff. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.